Why do you feel the urge to explain yourself to people who will never understand your hunger? Every time you share your plans, your goals, your breakthroughs, you give away a piece of your fire. You think you're connecting, but in reality you're leaking your power. The more you talk, the less you do, and the more you explain, the less they respect you. You don't owe anyone a summary of your evolution. You don't need to announce your every move to prove you're growing. Real power doesn't speak. It moves in silence, and it hits when it's ready. You need to understand something that most never will. Silence is not weakness, it's control. It's the refusal to waste your energy on people who don't live with your vision, who don't feel your obsession. When you speak your journey into the world too early, you open yourself to doubt, criticism, and distraction. Suddenly your dreams become a group discussion. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone thinks they know what's best for you. And slowly, without even noticing, you start adjusting your path to match their comfort. That's how purpose dies. Not with a crash, but with a whisper, drowned out by voices that were never meant to be in your life. You have to learn the art of holding your power, keeping it close, protecting it, because not everyone deserves access to your inner world. Not everyone should know what you're building. When you guard your energy and speak less, your focus sharpens. Your actions become louder. You stop performing for others and you start showing up for yourself. That's when transformation begins, not when you're loud, but when you're locked in, unavailable, untouchable. There's a reason the most dangerous people in the room are always the quietest. They're not proving anything. They've already decided. They've already committed. And that kind of silence terrifies the insecure. You don't need the world to see you becoming. You just need to become. You don't need to be understood. You need to be undeniable. The louder your work becomes, the less you need to speak. And the more you protect your inner world, the more unstoppable you grow. If you stay with this message, you'll begin to feel the power of restraint. You'll see how discipline isn't just about what you do. It's about what you choose not to say. You'll feel the confidence that comes when your peace is no longer up for grabs. This is your moment to rise without noise, to build without validation, and to execute without applause. Let silence be your new strength. Let your results speak. And when they finally hear your name, let it be because your work echoed louder than your words ever could. That's how you win. That's how you protect your purpose. That's how you become unshakable. Stay quiet. Stay focused. And watch how powerful you become. You have to stop chasing approval like it's oxygen. The need to be seen, liked, or praised is the very thing holding you back from becoming unstoppable. Every time you speak about your next move just to impress, you're feeding your ego and starving your discipline. That approval you're searching for, it's a drug. It feels good for a moment, but it keeps you addicted to weakness. You don't need them to clap for you. You need to become someone who doesn't even hear the noise. That's real freedom, the kind that doesn't come from being liked, but from being unshakably grounded in who you are without needing a spotlight to prove it. Validation has become a disease. People build their lives around it. Every action, every post, every word becomes a performance just to get noticed. But that performance kills your growth, because when you live for applause, you start playing small. You make decisions based on what will get the most attention, not what will bring the deepest growth. You shrink your ambition to fit the comfort zone of others, and in the process, you lose your edge. You stop being dangerous. You stop being real. You become another person waiting for permission to be great. But greatness doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't ask, do you think I'm on the right path? It knows. It moves. It becomes. If you want to rise above average, you need to kill your addiction to recognition. Stop asking for feedback from people who've never walked the path you're on. Stop needing confirmation to pursue your vision. You don't need likes. You need purpose. You don't need claps. You need clarity. Let the world doubt you. Let them question you. Let them ignore you. And while they watch, go build in silence until your work is so undeniable that even your critics are forced to respect it. Silence becomes power when you understand its purpose. It's not about hiding, it's about detaching, letting go of the urge to be seen, releasing the chains of needing to be understood. That's how you level up. That's how you become someone who can't be shaken, because your power doesn't come from what they say. It comes from what you built in the dark, in the silence, in the moments when no one was watching and no one was clapping. That's where strength is born. You don't need the world to believe in you. You need to believe in yourself so relentlessly that even silence becomes your ally. When you stop looking for validation, you free yourself to rise with pure intention. Every move becomes sharper. Every step becomes yours, not theirs. And that's when everything changes, when your self-worth is no longer rented from others, but owned, protected, and locked within. Keep your vision close. Let your hunger speak louder than your words. And remember, real ones don't announce. They just arrive, and nothing is ever the same again. Every time you speak about what you're building, you transfer energy away from the process. You weaken the bond between your vision and your execution. Your dreams aren't meant to be passed around like small talk. They're sacred. They require silence, solitude, and serious commitment. Every conversation that exposes your next move to people who don't carry your intensity becomes a leak in your momentum. You don't realize it, but with every word, you're handing pieces of your discipline to people who will never protect it like you do. You need to stop explaining, stop showcasing, and start building with a ferocity that doesn't care if anyone sees it. Energy is real, it's limited, and every word you speak uses it. That means if you're constantly talking about what you're going to do, you're spending energy you should be using to actually do it. You're choosing performance over production, execution over exposure. And that choice will always cost you progress. You don't need to tell people what you're going to accomplish. You need to shut up, lock in, and let the results do the talking. That's the energy that builds legacies. The energy of someone so locked into their mission that talking about it feels like a distraction. There's a reason the elite don't talk. They're too busy becoming. You can't build and broadcast at the same time. You either stay focused on your climb or you keep stopping to check who's watching. And every time you stop to explain, you interrupt the very momentum that was pulling you forward. You don't need anyone to understand your pace, your method, or your silence. You just need to protect it. Guard your energy like your life depends on it, because it does. That energy is your fuel, and the world is full of distractions disguised as support. People will drain you just to satisfy their own curiosity, and you'll be left wondering why your fire is fading. Hold your power. Keep your vision close. Learn the discipline of moving in silence. Let your fire burn where no one can see it. That's where it grows. That's where it strengthens. You don't owe updates. You owe results. And you'll never reach the level you're chasing if you keep trading progress for attention. Speak less. Move more. Protect your process like it's your oxygen, because it is. Your dreams don't need witnesses right now. They need warriors. They need action. They need silence. And if you're brave enough to withhold your words, you'll find that your work begins to roar louder than you ever could. This is about energy discipline, mental discipline, emotional discipline, the power to hold your vision without needing to share it. And when you master that, you become something different, something rare, something untouchable. Speak when it's time to deliver. Until then, protect the fire, protect the focus, protect the vision. The world doesn't need to hear it. They'll see it when it's done. The moment you open your mouth to share your next move, you give others a weapon they can use against you. Not always out of hate, often out of ignorance, envy, or fear. Most people can't see past their own limits, so when you speak about your vision, they filter it through their small mindset. Their doubt becomes a seed planted in your mind. And if you're not careful, you'll start questioning yourself, adjusting your fire to make them feel comfortable. That's how greatness gets diluted, by exposing it to minds that aren't built to hold it. You don't need to be understood. You need to be relentless. And that starts with keeping your mouth shut and your mission sacred. Every opinion you invite into your life adds weight. And the more weight you carry, the slower you move. You weren't built to drag everyone's expectations. You weren't built to carry the burden of constant explanation. You were built to execute, to evolve, to climb. And you can't climb if you keep stopping to explain the view to people stuck at the bottom. Their vision isn't your responsibility. Your results are. And those results demand your full focus, your full energy, and your full silence. Let them talk. Let them wonder. Let them doubt. Your only job is to build something so undeniable that it silences every voice that ever questioned you. When you stop explaining, you start listening. You begin to hear your instincts louder. You reconnect with your inner compass, That voice inside you, the one that knows the path, that knows the grind, that knows who you're becoming, starts getting clearer. But when you're constantly speaking, you drown out that voice. You replace self-trust with outside noise. That's why silence isn't just discipline. It's clarity. It's how you get back to yourself. It's how you rise beyond the noise and step into a level of focus most people never touch. The less you speak, the stronger your presence becomes. There's power in mystery. There's force in unpredictability. People can't attack what they can't define. They can't stop what they can't see coming. When you move in silence, you move without resistance. You catch the world off guard. You strike with precision. That's how real empires are built, not with announcements, but with execution. One silent, focused move at a time. You don't owe the world your thoughts. You owe yourself your results. And the more you respect that, the more momentum you build. Protect your path. Starve the noise. Let your discipline become louder than your words ever could. Speak only when it elevates the mission. Until then, stay invisible. Stay locked in. Stay dangerous, because in a world obsessed with talking, the one who listens, the one who watches, the one who builds, without saying a word, that's the one no one sees coming, but everyone will remember. Be that one, quiet, focused, unstoppable. If they don't know what you're doing, they can't stop it. They can't criticize it. They can't weaken it with their doubt. That's the power of silence. It's not just about protecting your vision. It's about eliminating the interference. Your growth needs clean air. Your mind needs space. And your mission needs to be protected like a fortress. When you talk, you open the gates. When you stay quiet, you strengthen the walls. People can't attack what they can't see. They can't sabotage what they don't understand. Keep it that way. Let them guess. Let them assume. Let them think you're doing nothing while you build something they could never comprehend. Your silence is an emptiness. It's energy being stored. Every hour you spend working in the shadows is building a force that's going to hit with precision. The world doesn't reward the loud. It rewards the relentless, the ones who don't waste time trying to be impressive because they're too locked in on becoming unstoppable. That kind of discipline is rare. That kind of mental control is what separates the average from the elite. Anyone can talk. Most do. Few can execute in complete silence while carrying pressure, doubt, and the weight of a future no one else can see. That's strength. That's what real power feels like. Not loud, but unshakable. You don't need to defend your path. You don't need to justify your decisions. You don't need to explain why you're disappearing, distancing, changing. Growth doesn't need approval. Progress doesn't ask for applause. The people who are meant to understand won't need an explanation. And the ones who demand one were never meant to come with you. Stop trying to bring everyone into your process. Some people are distractions wearing the mask of support. The more you let them in, the more noise you allow. And the more noise you allow, the further you drift from your highest self. Silence is how you come home. It's how you lock into your frequency and drown out the world. The more you protect your process, the faster you evolve. No debate, no delay, just discipline. And that discipline becomes lethal when it's uninterrupted, when it's fueled by intention, not opinion, when it's guided by purpose, not praise. You don't rise by convincing others of your potential. You rise by becoming it in silence. Let them think you're standing still. Let them think you've lost your edge. Let them think you're done. That illusion gives you space to move without resistance. That's when the breakthrough happens, when no one's watching and all the pressure disappears. So you keep your head down. You stay focused. You let your progress remain invisible until it's too powerful to ignore. That's how you protect the fire. That's how you protect your purpose. That's how you rise, not with noise, but with ruthless silence and relentless execution. Stay hidden, stay sharp, and when it's time, arrive like a storm no one saw coming. Silence is not weakness. It is precision. It is power. It is control over yourself in a world that can't stop screaming for attention. The loudest person in the room is often the one with the least progress. Noise is a distraction dressed as relevance. It gives people the illusion that they're moving forward when all they're doing is broadcasting empty intention. But silence, that's different. Silence doesn't need applause. It doesn't need to be seen. It needs only one thing: action. the kind of action that builds in the dark, that sharpens itself behind closed doors, that grows without permission. You don't need to speak to matter. You need to move with such focus that your silence becomes the most powerful statement you've ever made. If you want peace, protect your energy. If you want strength, protect your focus. And if you want growth, protect your silence. Your future depends on your ability to disconnect from the noise and lock into your own rhythm. Distractions are everywhere. People talking, people watching, people commenting on your life like they've earned the right to direct it. But your life is not a performance. Your dreams are not up for discussion. The more you talk, the more you invite opinions that dilute your vision. The more you share, the more vulnerable your discipline becomes. Your silence isn't hiding. It's choosing to be unavailable to nonsense. It's deciding that your mission is too important to risk it being misunderstood, doubted, or pulled apart by unqualified minds. When you keep things to yourself, you keep them strong. You keep them clean. You keep them sacred. The fire grows hotter when it's not exposed to cold winds. That's how you protect momentum. That's how you protect belief. Because belief isn't just something you feel. It's something you build every single day through consistency, repetition, and brutal focus. And when belief is still forming, it's fragile. Speaking too soon exposes it to doubt. Sharing too early invites resistance. Silence, on the other hand, gives belief the room it needs to grow strong roots. It gives your vision the chance to harden before the world tries to crack it. You have to be ruthless about your boundaries. Not everyone deserves access to your direction. Not everyone should hear your goals. Not everyone is equipped to receive what you're creating. You owe no one a preview. The world doesn't need a trailer of your life. They'll see the full film when it's ready, and it'll be undeniable. Until then, protect it. Build it. Respect it enough to keep it away from premature exposure. Silence is your shield. Use it. Guard your vision like it's your last breath, because in many ways it is. It's your reason, your fire, your future. Speak less. Grind harder. And when the time comes, let your results erupt so loud they shake the silence they were born from. Every time you stay quiet about your next move, you reclaim control, not just over your goals, but over your emotions, your pace, your power. The world has taught you to seek validation before you even take the first step. You post the idea. You announce the plan. You tell your friends, your family, even strangers. And in doing so, you shift your drive from internal fire to external approval. Suddenly, you're not doing it for you anymore. You're doing it so they'll clap, so they'll notice, so they'll believe. But belief doesn't begin with them. It begins with you. The silence is where you build it. The silence is where you prove to yourself that you're serious, before anyone else even knows what's coming. You don't need to be seen to be powerful. You need to be committed. You need to be obsessed. You need to be willing to lock yourself in day after day with no applause, no confirmation, and no spotlight, because that's where the real ones separate themselves. When the work feels invisible, when the effort goes unnoticed, when no one is cheering, and you still show up, that's when your character forms. That's when your purpose sharpens. And that's when your vision begins to solidify into something no outside voice can shake. Talk is cheap. Execution is everything. And real execution doesn't announce itself. It shows up, it delivers, and it dominates in silence. Most people don't fail because they lack talent or vision. They fail because they spend more time talking about the dream than building it. They scatter their energy by constantly seeking recognition before the result exists. But you're not here to be like most people. You're not here to leak your power through empty conversations. You're here to become undeniable. And becoming undeniable means you don't move to impress, you move to conquer. Quietly, relentlessly, without distractions, without applause, without delay. Make silence your advantage. While everyone else is trying to be seen, you're gaining ground. While they're performing for attention, you're stacking results. While they're wondering how to look successful, you're becoming it. Because true success doesn't chase eyes, it chases excellence. And excellence is born in silence, grown in solitude, and revealed only when it's unshakable. You are in control of your energy. Every moment you stay focused, every time you resist the urge to talk, you strengthen your edge. That edge is rare. That edge is dangerous. It makes you unpredictable. It makes you lethal. It makes you free. So stop looking for permission Stop announcing your journey. Stop handing out previews of a future you haven't finished building. Protect it, nurture it, respect it enough to let it grow in peace. Then, when the time is right, show up so sharp, so refined, so unbreakable that no one can question where you've been. They'll feel it, they'll see it, and they'll know you did it in silence, and now you've arrived with force. If they don't know what drives you, they can't weaken it. That's the power of keeping your purpose private. The minute you reveal your fire to people who don't carry the same hunger, they begin to water it down, not always out of malice, sometimes out of misunderstanding, sometimes out of fear disguised as love. They'll tell you to slow down, to be realistic, to wait. But those voices aren't calibrated for your future. They weren't there when you made the decision to change your life. They didn't feel that internal shift, that unshakable commitment rising inside you. That was between you and the grind. That was between you and your future self. And you don't owe that to anyone else. The ones who really want it don't talk about what they're doing. They just do it. Not because they're hiding, but because they're too dialed in. Too focused on becoming the version of themselves that doesn't flinch under pressure, that doesn't seek outside permission, that doesn't need the world to understand what they're building because the vision is already so clear inside their mind. That's a different level of peace. That's a different level of control. And you only reach it when you learn how to move without needing noise, validation, or recognition. Every word you share becomes a thread others can pull on. One doubt, one question, one poorly timed comment, and suddenly your focus slips. You start explaining, you start adjusting, you start shrinking your vision to fit their comfort zone. That's the trap. You think you're just being open. You think you're building connection. But what you're really doing is allowing access to a process that needs protection. Growth requires boundaries. Momentum demands solitude. Not forever, but for now. Long enough for the vision to take shape. Long enough for your self-trust to harden into something unshakable. When you're climbing, protect your mental space like your life depends on it, because it does. Your energy is sacred. Your focus is fuel. And your direction is fragile in the early stages. Letting too many people in can derail everything. It seems harmless at first. A quick conversation, a little feedback. But over time, those small inputs chip away at your intensity. They introduce hesitation. They inject doubt. That's why silence is more than discipline. It's defense. It's how you armor your ambition from a world that doesn't understand its depth. You were not built to be average. You were built to rise. But rising takes more than skill. It takes silence. It takes a relentless commitment to your vision, even when no one else sees it, even when it doesn't make sense to them, even when you're still figuring it out yourself. That commitment grows stronger in quiet. It thrives in the absence of noise, so protect it. Build in the dark. Evolve in silence. And when the world finally sees what you've created, they won't know how you did it, only that you never stopped. You never spoke. You just delivered. If they can't predict your next step, they can't block it. That's why silence is a strategy, not just a preference. It's a psychological edge that creates space between your mission and their opinions. The less they know, the less they can distort. The less they see, the more power you hold. You are not here to be understood by everyone. You're not building your life to fit their expectations. You're building it to match your standards, your discipline, your hunger. And the truth is, when your path is real, when it matters deeply, it's too sacred to be broadcast. It needs your full attention, not their reaction, not their commentary, just your focus, just your commitment, just your refusal to quit. Discipline is not just about what you do. It's about what you choose not to do. And sometimes the most disciplined decision is to say nothing, to stay locked in, to hold your vision close while it's still being forged. Because the more people you let in, the more noise you invite. The more doubt you open the door to. Not everyone is rooting for you. Some smile while secretly hoping you fall. Some listen just to criticize. Some pretend to care, but their energy is built to subtract from yours. That's the world you live in. It's not about being paranoid, it's about being precise, about understanding that silence is the most powerful filter you'll ever have. You need to master the art of moving in stealth. That doesn't mean hiding from life. It means protecting the parts of you that are still developing. It means building such strong internal clarity that you no longer feel the urge to explain yourself. because clarity doesn't beg to be seen. It radiates from within. And the ones who achieve real transformation, they don't do it through noise. They do it through quiet, consistent, ruthless execution. They don't announce their changes, they become the change. They don't explain their goals, they embody them. And that embodiment is louder than any words ever could be. Every moment you spend justifying your path to someone else is a moment stolen from building it. You don't need their approval. You don't need their applause. You don't need their input. What you need is tunnel vision, the kind of vision that blocks out anything that doesn't contribute to the mission, that blocks out gossip, doubt, laziness, comparison, distraction. Your time is limited. Your energy is gold. You can't waste it trying to make people understand a future that wasn't given to them. It was given to you, and that makes you responsible for protecting it. So stay quiet, stay lethal, stay focused. Let them guess. Let them wonder. Let them assume you're doing nothing. While behind closed doors, you're sharpening every skill, stacking every win, building every layer brick by brick. And when the time is right, you won't need to explain a thing. Your results will speak. Your transformation will scream. And your silence will echo louder than any noise you could have ever made. The ones who win long-term are the ones who understand that noise is a trap. The louder your life becomes, the easier it is to lose yourself. You start moving for attention instead of purpose. You start choosing what looks good over what feels right. And slowly, without realizing it, you drift further from who you're meant to become. When you constantly speak on what you're doing, you invite distraction. You invite opinions. You invite resistance from people who don't carry your vision. And if you let it, that noise will become louder than your inner voice. That voice, the one that whispers your next move, the one that knows the difference between ego and growth, it gets drowned out by the need to be seen. But being seen too early can kill momentum. It can twist your intention. It can turn your mission into a performance. You are not here to perform. You are here to transform. You are here to evolve in silence, to build in the shadows, to create from a place so pure that no one else can touch it. That space is sacred. It's where real power lives. Not in the spotlight, but in the shadows. Not in the words you post, but in the actions you repeat when no one is watching. Real strength is built without witnesses. Real confidence is earned in silence, because silence forces you to face yourself. It exposes every excuse, every weakness, every lie you tell to stay comfortable. And when you stop broadcasting, you start listening to yourself, to what actually matters, to what needs to change. That's when growth gets honest. That's when discipline becomes your default. Most people waste years trying to convince others they're making moves instead of actually making them. They measure progress by attention. They think momentum means exposure. But the truth is, the most powerful shifts happen quietly. The breakthrough is silent. The habits are silent. The healing, the rewiring, the sacrifice, it's all done in private. You don't need to prove you're working. You need to be so locked in that proving anything becomes irrelevant. Let your silence prove your discipline. Let your consistency prove your hunger. Let your results prove your worth. Every time you feel the urge to tell the world what you're building, stop and ask yourself, why? Is it to stay accountable, or is it to be praised? Is it to stay committed, or is it to feel admired? Be honest. Because if your progress depends on being seen, it's not rooted in purpose. It's rooted in insecurity. Purpose doesn't need eyes. It needs effort. It needs sacrifice. It needs the kind of focus that only exists in solitude. So hold your tongue. Protect your path. Guard your progress. Keep building behind the curtain. Let them think you're quiet. Let them think you've slowed down, and then show up one day unrecognizable. Not because you told them, but because you showed them. That's real power. That's unshakable confidence. That's the fire no one saw coming. You don't need an audience to become great. You need obsession. You need clarity. You need the grit to keep going when no one is clapping, when no one is watching, when no one even believes you'll make it. Because that's where the real shift happens, when you no longer move for recognition, but for the deep fire that won't let you quit. The hunger to rise, to outgrow the old version of yourself, to become the person only you can see in your mind. That kind of drive doesn't need validation. It doesn't need likes, shares, or applause. It just needs silence, discipline, and an unbreakable reason. You have to get used to being misunderstood. You have to become comfortable walking alone. Not because you enjoy isolation, but because your vision requires it. Not everyone will get it. Most won't. And if you keep trying to make them understand, you'll waste your energy explaining instead of executing. That's the difference between those who dream and those who do. The ones who do aren't louder. They're deeper, more locked in, more intentional. They realize that attention is a drug, and the more you crave it, the less control you have over yourself. The more you seek external approval, the weaker your internal compass becomes. When you stop telling everyone your plans, you stop giving away your power. Because words are seeds. And when you plant them in the wrong soil, they don't grow, they rot. They're picked apart by small minds, poisoned by fear, infected by doubt. Your vision doesn't belong in every conversation. It doesn't belong in rooms where small thinking dominates. It belongs in your daily grind, in your early mornings, in your late nights, in your moments of silence where no one sees what you're doing, but you feel it coming alive inside you. That's where it grows, not in noise, not in exposure, but in relentless, quiet pursuit. Stop explaining yourself. Stop trying to prove anything. You don't need anyone's permission to level up. You don't need to justify your process, your pace, or your passion. You just need to trust it, protect it, and keep showing up for it every single day. Even when it feels like nothing's happening, even when it feels like you're invisible. That invisibility is your advantage. Because while they're distracted chasing attention, you're building something unshakable. Let your silence be your strategy. Let your discipline be your response. Let your results be your voice. And when it's time, speak through your transformation. Speak through your actions. Speak through your presence. You don't need to be loud to be legendary. You just need to be consistent, ruthless, focused, and absolutely unwilling to let anything or anyone pull you off your path. Not opinions, not fear, not noise, just you, the vision, and the work. That's where the power lives. That's where the future is shaped. That's how greatness is built, silently, deliberately, without needing to say a single word. Every time you open your mouth to speak about what you're building, you leak energy. You dilute the power that was meant to be used for execution. Talking becomes a substitute for action. And the more you talk, the more you start to believe you've already done something. But words don't move you forward. Results do. Discipline does. Repetition does. The moment you stop speaking about it and start working like your life depends on it, that's when the momentum kicks in. That's when real transformation begins. Because greatness doesn't need to be announced. It reveals itself through the evidence of your actions. Every step forward becomes proof, not to others, to yourself. You don't need the world's recognition to validate your vision. You need your own belief reinforced by your actions every single day. The more you focus on your output, the less you care about their opinions. Because opinions can't pay your bills, they can't build your legacy. They don't know the price you've paid in silence. So stop handing your power to people who haven't earned the right to influence your journey. This is your lane, your mission, your battle to fight. And not everyone deserves access to your blueprint. Some things are sacred. Some seasons require full privacy. Not because you're hiding, but because you're protecting something too valuable to expose. Growth demands protection. And protection means silence. It means choosing not to share just to feel momentarily important. It means being okay with no one knowing what you're doing. Because the hunger is real. The commitment is real. And when you're truly committed, the praise doesn't matter. The spotlight doesn't matter. You're no longer chasing validation. You're chasing evolution. You're obsessed with what you're becoming, not with how it looks to them. The truth is, most people don't want you to win. Not fully. Not in a way that separates you. Because your growth threatens their comfort. Your discipline exposes their excuses. And when you share too much, you invite their energy into a space that should be sealed. Doubt enters, distraction enters, and that inner fire starts to flicker. You can't afford that, not now. Not when you're this close to something greater. You need to guard that fire with your life. Feed it with focus. Fuel it with silence. Let it grow until it becomes undeniable. Every second you spend explaining yourself is a second stolen from execution. Let your life speak. Let your habits speak. Let your results be the only story you tell. And when they finally notice, it won't be because you told them. It'll be because they can't ignore what you've become. That's the goal. Not attention, not praise, mastery, purpose. The kind of success that doesn't ask for permission. The kind that walks into a room without saying a word and still commands respect. Because it wasn't built on noise. It was built in silence, where real power is born, where legends are made, where you become unstoppable. If you're serious about changing your life, stop broadcasting every step of the process. Silence forces you to face yourself. It forces you to build without applause, to sacrifice without sympathy, to rise without permission. And that's where the real strength is forged. When you stop looking for reactions, you stop giving away control. You start owning your journey. You stop outsourcing your self-worth. You begin to understand that the process isn't meant to be paraded. It's meant to be lived day by day, choice by choice, with ruthless intensity. Every distraction you eliminate, every conversation you avoid, every time you choose privacy over performance, that's self-respect in motion. You don't have to explain why you're different. You don't have to justify why your schedule looks nothing like theirs. Because you're not trying to be like them. You're trying to be better than you were. That's the only competition. The version of you who settled, who complained, who needed validation to act, that version has to die. And every day you stay silent and show up for yourself, you're killing the weakness that once ruled you. That's what this is about. Not attention, not praise, discipline, transformation, becoming someone who no longer needs external pressure to stay committed, someone who's moved beyond needing to be seen to feel valuable. Most people won't understand this mindset. They'll say you've changed. They'll say you're cold, distant, maybe even arrogant. Let them talk. Let them assume. Because if you're doing it right, they'll have nothing else to go on. You won't be feeding them updates. You won't be giving them glimpses. They'll be left in the dark, and that's exactly where they belong. They don't need to know what's next. They don't need to be part of your process. This season is for growth, not for validation, for mastery, not performance. You've already wasted enough time explaining yourself. Now it's time to evolve in silence. Let your presence become your response. Let your results become your revenge. Let your new mindset, your sharpened focus, your unshakable work ethic speak louder than anything you could ever say. Because silence is not weakness. It's precision. It's control. It's power directed inward. While others chase noise, you chase growth. While they seek followers, you seek mastery. While they post for praise, you train for progress, and that gap will widen. It will grow so large they'll have no choice but to notice when it's too late to catch up. You were not born to impress. You were born to execute, to evolve, to break cycles and rise beyond the limits they placed on you. That kind of mission doesn't need permission or applause. It just needs you. Fully committed, fully focused, fully silent. Build in secret, grind in silence. Let your future shock the ones who thought you'd stay the same. You don't owe them updates. You owe yourself results. Keep your mouth shut. Keep your head down. And make your success so loud it drowns out everything they ever said. If you're still talking about it, you're not doing it. Action doesn't require an audience. It requires consistency. Quiet, focused, relentless consistency. That's what builds a foundation too solid to be shaken by doubt. Every time you feel the urge to post, to explain, to announce, ask yourself why. Is it to prove something? Is it to feel seen? Or is it a moment of weakness disguised as sharing? Because the strongest people you'll ever meet are the ones who don't need to say a word. Their work speaks before they do. Their results walk into rooms long before their names are ever mentioned. You have the same power, but only if you stop leaking it through constant exposure. You don't need to prove you're working. You need to work. You don't need to convince anyone you're serious. You need to be serious. Talking about it doesn't bring it closer. It only creates the illusion of progress. And illusions kill ambition. They make you feel like you're already moving when you're standing still. But if you shut it down, block out the noise, stop inviting others into your mental process, you'll find clarity. You'll find that the path was never complicated. It was just crowded with unnecessary voices. When you cut them off, you begin to hear your own truth. That inner voice that doesn't shout for attention but demands discipline. The voice that says, keep going. not because they're watching, but because you made a promise to yourself. You've been too generous with your energy, giving away pieces of your vision to people who will never understand it, sharing steps with those who are too afraid to even start their own. That ends now. You don't need their nod, you don't need their compliments, you need their absence. Let them wonder, let them speculate. While you build something they'll never see coming, every hour you pour into your growth in silence is another weapon sharpened in the shadows, and when it's time, you'll be ready, not just to win, but to dominate. Because you weren't chasing recognition. You were building unshakable focus. Nothing meaningful is built in public. The roots grow deep before the branches show. Your silence is your soil. Protect it. Nourish it with effort, with repetition, with standards so high you scare your former self. Become the kind of person who doesn't even flinch when left alone, because you're not waiting for applause, you're waiting for results. You're not hoping for shortcuts. You're building endurance. You're not desperate to be seen. You're too busy becoming undeniable. That's the difference. That's the mindset that separates the driven from the distracted. So keep your mouth shut. Let your silence roar. Let it remind you that your goals don't live in the spotlight. They live in the grind. They live in your ability to keep showing up long after motivation is gone. Stay quiet. Stay locked in. And when the time comes, they won't just hear your name. They'll feel the weight of everything you built in the dark. They will try to make you feel invisible. Let them. Because invisibility is not weakness, it's strategy. When they don't see you coming, they can't prepare for the force you're becoming. While they talk, you train. While they guess, you grind. Every second they waste trying to figure you out is a second you've already outgrown them. But you only gain that edge when you stop giving them a blueprint. You stop laying out your path like a map for doubters to walk all over. Keep your mission sacred. Keep your goals guarded. Not because you're scared, but because you finally respect your own growth enough to protect it. Not everyone deserves access to your progress. Some people don't want you to succeed. They just want to stay close enough to sabotage it. They'll smile when you speak, but judge the moment you leave. And the more you share, the more power you hand over. Silence takes that power back. You don't owe them your thoughts. You don't owe them your timeline. You owe yourself the discipline to keep moving, whether they clap or criticize. The minute you stop feeding their curiosity, they lose control over your direction. Most people aren't rooting for you, they're measuring you. Measuring your pace, measuring your chances, hoping you fall just short so they can feel comfortable staying the same. You don't need that energy near your ambition. You don't need their approval to grow. You need the courage to build in solitude. You need the strength to go dark for months and come back unrecognizable. But that won't happen if you keep putting your process on display. Keep them out. Lock the doors. Let the results be your only response. There is power in mystery, power in not being predictable. If they can't guess your next move, they can't block it. If they don't know your dreams, they can't distort them. And if you give them silence, they have nothing to attack. It's not hiding, it's mastering the art of self-preservation. You don't broadcast the seeds while planting. You wait until the harvest is undeniable, until the work has shaped you so completely that speaking about it would only be a distraction from living it. Your greatness doesn't require an audience. It requires obsession, quiet, focused obsession, the kind that turns late nights into milestones, the kind that makes you forget who doubted you because you're too busy proving it to yourself. You don't rise by telling the world what you're about to do. You rise by doing it so well that even your silence leaves a mark. Be the one they can't figure out. Be the one who disappeared and returned with power, not noise, power. That comes from discipline, from tunnel vision, from doing the work no one sees until the outcome can no longer be ignored. Stay silent, stay sharp, let them wonder, let them wait. While you build something that speaks so loud, it makes up for every word you never said. You owe yourself a period of silence so intense, it transforms you from the inside out. You've talked enough. You've explained enough. Now it's time to execute in private. Real growth doesn't scream, it whispers. It happens behind closed doors, where there's no applause, no praise, no validation. Just repetition, pain, focus, and relentless self-discipline. That's the environment where legends are born. Not in conversations, not in opinions, but in the quiet hours where you push through the mental resistance that once broke you. You don't need to convince anyone that you're serious anymore. Let your actions be louder than any words ever could. Every time you talk about what you're planning, you release energy. You give away fire before it's ready to burn. You water down the intensity that should be fueling your grind. You trade momentum for validation. And validation is a drug. It feels good for a moment, but it kills long-term hunger. Your mind starts chasing approval instead of mastery. But mastery demands secrecy. It demands that you fall in love with the unseen, the unnoticed, the uncelebrated. It requires you to be the kind of person who can stay loyal to the mission, even when no one is clapping for it. People don't need to understand what drives you. They don't need to support your vision. They don't even need to believe in you. You're not building this for recognition. You're building it because something inside you refuses to settle. You feel the gap between where you are and where you were born to be. That's your reason. That's your fire. Protect it. Stop putting it on display. The more sacred you keep it, the more powerful it becomes. Your discipline grows in silence. Your strength compounds in privacy. And your results become unstoppable when your journey is no longer up for discussion. There's a difference between being known and being effective. You can be known for talking, or you can be respected for building, but rarely both. The ones who really move the needle don't talk about their next step, they take it. Then the world is forced to catch up. That's the path of real power. Not performance for attention, but purpose in motion. You're not here to entertain, you're here to evolve. Keep your focus locked in, keep your goals locked down. They don't need to know what's coming. They just need to feel the impact when it arrives. Let your silence become your armor. Let it sharpen your vision. Let it deepen your hunger. Because when you stop sharing, you stop leaking. You stop feeding the distractions that once delayed your rise. You start moving with a kind of force that doesn't seek permission, that doesn't explain, justify, or announce. It just builds. And when it's time, it shows. Not with noise, not with hype, but with undeniable results. So stay quiet, stay dangerous, let them doubt, let them guess. Let your execution be the only answer they'll ever need.